Take a listen at the Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, who is also the leader of the Pastef party, reaffirm that he is still a committed Pan-Africanist, as he announces resumption of his involvement in political activities, after a 4-month absence from the political limelight, and calls on Senegalese citizens to take ownership of the project, which is the political vision of the current regime. This is a meeting that he held with Senegalese artists on the Tuesday of August 20, 2024, to appreciate them for the part they played in the resounding victory that the Pastef party registered in the March 24, 2024 elections, and as well invite him to remain loyal to the Sonko-Diomaye regime, amidst the criticism and misinformation that has been emerging regarding their stand across the African continent.
Forte dans notre perception pan-africaniste, la Guinée, le Sénégal.
In our Pan-Africanist perception, Guinea, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Mali and Burkina are similar countries. And today we must take a stand in relation to the issues that challenge us. Often we fall again into the same traps which ultimately only contribute to one thing, to divide Africans even more than they are. In details, that so-and-so said this, so-and-so did that, we are no longer Pan-Africans, or that we are no longer this. Really, we must go beyond that stage. That is why I am very happy to see you here, and to summarize what I wanted to explain, I wanted to meet a small handful of artists selected for their commitment to us during the times when it was extremely difficult, extremely hard, but they were there, and through their artistic production, they still gave a certain scope of our message. We all know that there is no better way to convey a message than through art and in all its forms. So that's why this meeting actually marks my return, or rather directs the resumption of political activities. The mistake that must not be made by the political actor is that once elected, you cut yourself off from everything. For 4 months, we were effectively obliged to make a strategic request to look at the inventory that had to be done when you have just inherited a country. We needed to take stock of the situation and do it very seriously. But for us, this has never meant a desire to cut ourselves off from what constitutes our essence, that is to say, a special link that we have with our bases, and a special link that we have with the majority of the Senegalese people. And we are going to resume these activities. This activity, this meeting today, is simply a first, and I wanted to do it with the artists. But beyond the thanks and encouragement, it is to tell them that the mission is far from over and that it is now that it begins. That we are going to present in the coming days the new framework for public policies, which must be divided into several stages of a 25-year vision, but with 5-year and 10-year variations. And this time we want this vision, these programs, not to be the preserve of a few elites locked in their offices. It must be as popularized as possible. All the masses must be able to appropriate this reference in order to be able to support the movement. And this is why we consider that the artists that you are, you must continue to have this impact through your production. Take the time to appropriate the document themselves in these main areas, and be able through their production help us popularize and continue to bring on board the maximum number of Senegalese, to unite behind the regime that is chosen, behind the president that they overwhelmingly elected and in the first round, which is a first in Senegal for an opponent, and it is quite symptomatic of the hope that the Senegalese have placed in us. Behind the government that I have the honor of leading, behind the movement that will be supported by the state, and which has no other concern, to the limit of other obsessions, than to structurally and qualitatively transform this country so that the Senegalese can have the same opportunities, to satisfy the same aspirations as all the countries that we want today, and that it is enough that our young people continue to take the offers to try to join these countries.
continuer à prendre les pirogues pour essayer de rejoindre ces pays. Et nous faisons ça avec
And we do this with great self-denial, great passion, in memory of all those people who lost their lives, who lost their health, who lost their jobs, and whose homes broke up because of their commitment.
Leur santé, qui ont perdu leur travail, dont les foyers ont pu éclater à cause de leur engagement. Au nom de tous ces gens-là,
On behalf of all these people, we have no choice but to succeed, and I can guarantee, I can reassure the Senegalese that if it pleases God, we will succeed in this mission.
En tout cas, vous êtes invités.
In any case, you are invited to continue to accompany us in this work in the same way as all the other artists, and I will conclude by saying that indeed these artists who are here have been selected according to their commitment at a very specific time, but the message is broader.
Mais le message est plus large et s'adresse à tous les artistes du Sénégal.
It is wider and addressed to all the artists of Senegal and of Africa at large, to whom we extend the hand in the well-understood sense of the patriotic commitment, of the love of oneself and for the homeland, so that together, we can finally change things deeply, qualitatively and structurally. Thank you.